thing is, this is sort of one of the big risks of journalism today, is that actually doing your job can sometimes get you in trouble. I've been lucky so far that, I've not really faced any threats over a story. Not when I say threats, I don't mean just kind of like trolls saying things, but in terms of legal things as well. I mean, part of that is there is an attempt made very carefully to make sure that doesn't happen. When I'm trying to write a thing, what I'll do is I'll include all like the counter arguments even I can think of, make sure that they're there, but like also then rebut those. And then I find that tends to help try, and it also helps you clear up your own argument, like if you keep challenging yourself. But it is not easy, and I don't know how we're going to always be able to find the right balance here, because when you come to a point when you start to feel that things are not being done the right way, there is a point to which you can keep dissembling to yourself as well. I think one of the things is, let's take criticism of court judgments at this point. One of the ways in which you can try to avoid falling into the trap of doing something which is going to get a case against you is by, when we look at the court, we criticize, we don't say that, this finding was a bad finding, because, you don't make an emotional argument about it. You point to problems with the process, that, the court didn't examine these points. You will try to fit as much argument and precedent that, the court itself, like for instance, there was the Supreme Court Shaheen Bagh judgment, which had come out last year. Now in that, the court is saying that, when we have protests like this, which are going to take up public, can't take up public spaces, and, it makes this argument. The hilarious part is it cites a previous Supreme Court Constitution Bench judgment, the Himmat Lal Shah case, to say this. At the same time, so it quotes like 3 lines from Himmat Lal Shah. If you actually go to Himmat Lal Shah, which was binding on that Shaheen Bagh bench, because, the Shaheen Bagh bench was 3 judges, I think, and Himmat Lal Shah is a 5-judge bench. You go back to the Himmat Lal Shah judgment, the 3 lines which they are quoting are actually just the beginning of a paragraph. The next 3 lines of that same paragraph actually go directly contradict what the court is saying in its newer judgment. So like, the point is, it's also our job to kind of put this out there. One of the things which many people assume that a legal reporter shouldn't be doing this. They should only say, okay, this is what the court has said, and that's it. But I think it's very much part of our job to kind of be able to point out things which are easy to point out, like which are clearly wrong. So where there's, for instance, a directly conflicting judgment, where there's an argument made in court which we know of, or which you've seen the written submissions, or you've been there, you've heard the arguments, and that's been ignored. That's another point which you can kind of try to do. The thing is, of course, if you're doing this carefully, you will avoid, for the most part, getting caught up in cases. But the thing is, it's not always that simple. Nowadays, what we're seeing a lot of the times is cases against journalists because of the organization they're part of. So far, the Quint has faced problems with the fact that the government people don't like to talk to us, like on the record. Like I've officially been told by a person from one of the people on the Solicitor General's team of lawyers, said, we will not talk to them. Like, they were like, kahan se ho? I said, Quint. They're like, aapko kya lagta hai, hum kyun baat karenge? And, there's been instances where, we, for instance, like we weren't able to get the Quint had been, like Bloomberg Quint was trying to get a TV channel, and that was just blocked off without following the league, without any kind of reasoning or whatever. But like, we've not faced the kind of persecution, like say right now, The Wire, just like anytime they do a report, even if the report is accurate, or if the report is doing something where they're just putting across a victim statement, now they're getting cases slapped against them for that. And that's actually where, in fact, like the rest of the job of legal journalists everywhere is to kind of point out again that these are flawed processes. You don't just report that there is an FIR. You have to point out and say, okay, now what are the grounds for the FIR vaguely justified? So if the FIR is going to say 153A, we have to do some effort into this to kind of pointing out where there is or there isn't. Because the danger, of course, is that when the rule of law is not quite being followed anymore, you will not know where or when you're going to get hit by something. So that's obviously a risk which you're going to keep having to take. But you've got to kind of make your peace with it. You try to set your own rules in terms of what you will do, what you won't do. You try to say that, okay, this is the kind of due diligence which I will make sure I do. And then the rest you kind of have just got to kind of just like, then the rest is you take the risk you feel you're willing to take. I think that's it.